Good evening, good evening, good evening. Happy Monday. Happy February 3rd. Welcome to the Woman to Woman show on the New You Nation Network. Hey ladies, how you doing tonight?
Good evening. Doing well.
I can't complain.
Welcome to February. So we're gonna get started as we normally do. We're gonna introduce ourselves, right, and say what we're grateful for. So I am Theodora Carter. I am a certified life and career coach and HR consultant. And I am grateful for what Sheila posted, I think, the other day, which is we are getting closer to spring.
Mhm. 1 month closer.
Yeah, but I'm also just grateful to be here again tonight and with you guys and with my sisters and what and for this topic that I think is going to just be hilarious. So, Gina, take it away.
Okay, hi y'all. I am Regina of Regina's Baking Academy and Origin Unlimited. I am grateful for understanding the difference between being um, committed to a thing and allowing flexibility when things need to change.
Mm,
So, I had a very clear conversation today with my director, and it was really good because sometimes you have to be willing to be open to ideas that are not necessarily your own, but it's the better idea for the program and for what we're doing. And so I
mm,
had to have that very clear conversation, and it was actually pretty productive. So
nice.
learning
Okay.
how to be flexible and committed to the outcome and not the way you want it, but the best way to serve the people that you're assigned to.
Nice, nice. All right, Sheila, it's on
Y-
you.
Yes. Good evening. My name is Sheila Isom. I am an insurance claims professional by day, and any other time, I am an independent stylist for Color Street nail polish strips, real
Mm-hmm.
nail polish. What do you? Oh, okay. Oh, you counting, right?
She started counting.
I am also a notary public. And Theo's counting because I got one more thing in the bag that again I'll announce towards the end of the month or the beginning of the month. One more thing.
I think
And
that's so cool though, how much you have going on. Like it's just great. So
yes, I'm one tired lady too. But because on top of that, I am on a board for two nonprofits. So yeah, I'm mentally and physically busy quite a bit.
wow.
And I also help with that an event space that came to fruition about a year ago too. So
Beautiful, beautiful.
um, in
How's
addition,
that going?
you know what, God is good, and I think that is what I'm grateful for. I am grateful for a new season in business.
Nice,
Yes.
nice,
So yes. So,
nice.
God is in the blessing business for sure. Even when you think he's not there, he is. It's
Yes.
just all
Nice,
his timing.
nice,
Yes.
nice.
Definitely.
All right. So before we dive into this conversation, where you guys at in the book? Remember we supposed to be reading this book?
Oh,
12.
I'm on
Oh
chapter
yeah.
6.
You on chapter 6?
Yes. It's
Wait.
really good. I have to redo my 12 week um my 12 week year per se. But it's such a rich read, and it's really good. I ordered it right away and I started going at it.
Nice.
It's really a good read. So yeah, I am definitely gonna read that whole thing. But it's not a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's good.
Cool. Well,
It's
Shirley,
really
you got
good.
a lot going on, so
Yeah, and I did. I ordered it right away, and it's still in the box that it was delivered.
Look, all I'm saying is I've taken plenty of books out the box. And they kind of like, you know, like that.
in the
This is the
pile.
one I took out and I started reading because I was like, you know what? I'm gonna read it because I need to get my life in order. So I'm gonna do it. And then it's like, yeah, you really need to pick me back up and keep reading, sugar. Don't put me down. You some more chapters in the book.
Right. So for everyone that's tuning in, this is the Woman to Woman show on the New You Nation Network. We're about to get into our topic, but before we do that, I'm just checking in because we said, I don't know if everybody
Yes.
did this book, The 12-Week Year, right, by Brian P. Moran. We as a group collectively,
Yeah.
because we are continuing to grow and evolve, I'm reading this book called The 12-Week Year, and so we just checking in on where we're at, and so but we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it done.
And
So,
it's been helpful. I've used it. I've applied some of the techniques at work
oh,
as far
nice.
as helping me
All
prepare a
right.
3 month calendar.
Oh,
And it's helped me to laser in on some of the things that I need to do. So I feel like I'm ahead of the curve instead of just kind of catching up at the moment of things.
nice.
So it's yeah, it really is a good read.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So let's dive into the topic. This is gonna be interesting. We actually need Regina here because she probably the one that's been on the most dates.
Uh-huh.
You got you. Yeah.
but but tonight we are talking about first dates then and now. What's changed and what hasn't.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so I listen, I can't even I listen, forget about going back to then, like before in our 20s and our 30s. Hell, I don't think I've been on a trying to think where my last well, I think you know what I think my last, I guess if you could call it a date, was right before we got locked down for COVID.
Okay, before COVID. Okay.
So when was that? Like
In
2020?
20, yeah,
Yeah.
that was 2020. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and so I guess I could start off by saying, I guess what might have been different for me is that I think I actually met that person on like some dating site, which
Okay.
I'm not, I hate them dating sites, but but it's crazy because it was right before, I think literally the next week
Wow.
we got shut down,
Oh,
which wasn't a big thing because I wasn't really feeling the person anyway. But it was interesting because I would say I chose I chose to meet in an environment that I was going to be comfortable in and
hmm
didn't have to get all glammed up and stuff because I chose to meet at the gym. Because I like to work out. So I was able to wear my workout gear. I didn't have to worry about having on heels and all of that. We met up at the gym. He worked out. I worked out. Afterwards, we sat up front, talked for a little bit, and then I went home.
okay.
So I think that
Uh,
okay like that. I think for me it worked. And after
okay.
that, I think I talked to him a couple of times on the phone, but he was like a young 60 something year old person. Like he was like, I was like, oh, I can't do this. So
You say, was it young in energy or young in understanding, young
he
in
was young,
maturity?
and that although he was in his 60s, he did not conversate like it was like trying to pry
Okay.
information out of someone, just. And then it's funny because I think I ended up calling my nephew, who's about like 9 years younger than me,
Okay.
and I was like, "Yo, what does it mean?" Like I knew what it meant, but I
Right.
was like, "I don't know you, dude. Why you keep inviting me over to your house? Come over. I don't know you.
hmm
I just met you." I know we locked down in COVID, but it ain't that kind of party. You know what I'm saying? But but it was just like there was just a vibe about him that just didn't click with me.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
it was like a maturity thing. If
That's
that,
why I asked you which
yeah,
level of maturity
yeah,
because
it was like
yeah.
yeah, it was that.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
now, did he ever reach out to you again, or did you ever reach out to him again? What happened?
he did. We continue to like talk on the phone, right? And whatever, and then I think when we kind of lost, like we stopped talk, like it was like a little lull. Like
Hmm.
every now and then he would send me a message and a text message or something, a call, but he would say something that didn't make sense, and I would be like question mark question mark question mark, right? Because I ain't trying to do, so yeah, but it was different.
Yeah, that's yeah. Well, wow. So I haven't had a
But
proper
listen, I was gonna say at least that
no,
what's
but
that?
I mean you know what? But some people don't go past that. At least you had enough to see what it would be to have a conversation outside of, you know, the app and that sort of thing, to meet someone in person. So and nowadays that takes a different level of
Mm,
comfort and security and and it is kind of nervous when you don't really know someone and you're meeting for the first time under any
Mm-hmm.
circumstance.
mhm.
So just the fact that that's kind of the landscape we're in, right? That's what leads up to some people having a first date.
Yeah.
Before you get to that, it's like, before you run into somebody in the supermarket or, you're in similar circles and you're like, hey, so we want to take it
Mhm,
further. But now you're talking about, there's a lot of apps available for those type of things. But what I
mhm.
also think about as the first date was changed because we talk about then and now, right?
Yeah.
What's changed and what hasn't. And I've had this conversation with my husband a few times in regards to um, makeup,
Oh, okay.
right? Because I know when I used to go out dating way back then, like I ain't dating, I'm married, so I ain't trying to get in no trouble out here in these streets. But I'm saying, when I did, I don't remember doing the thing with the lashes and the
Uh-huh.
extra stuff with the nails and we did our hair different. We did our thing with the hair and everything.
Mhm.
But what I'm noticing that's different as far as dating and going out, and maybe someone's saying she want to talk. She just said she married, but that don't mean I don't pay attention.
There you go.
So, I mean, I can still look and see what's going on. I have daughters that they've been
Yeah.
on dates, right? So, and friends that go out.
Mhm.
But one of the things I'm noticing is that there's so many more levels now to just how we dress and what we're putting on. You got the lashes, you got the nails, you got the all this other stuff. And what I was saying in having a conversation with my husband, he said, he said, Regina, real men want real women.
Mhm.
And they don't necessarily want all the makeup and the lashes and that kind of stuff, because at the end of the day, they got to see you outside of that,
Mhm.
right? So once you take off the lashes and the
Mhm.
mascara and
Yeah.
then who are you behind that,
Uh-huh.
right? So I think what I noticed is that we still, and I think women are, even though we are secure in ourselves, if you're going on a date, you do want to make a positive impression. And I think it's even more so now because, you know, you got to have everything right. So you got the lashes, you got the nails, you got this, because you're trying to figure out if you meet someone for the first time, how to present. You want to be
Mm.
authentic, and you still want to put a good representation of
Yeah.
who you are. And sometimes for people that means you're going to do the lashes or the whatever. Um, and I'm just surprised, but I'm like, dang, that's a lot. And maybe because I was never that, I wasn't makeup girl growing up. I mean, I did it for
Yeah.
like a whole minute, and I was like, I ain't spend no 10, 15 minutes with all that, blah 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 blah. Even though I think it's beautiful, I love to see women well made and put together. I just always said I didn't have time for it. But what I've noticed is that there's such an increase in the level of the preparation with the okay, you got a foundation, did you got the toner, did you got this? I said, well, how many things you gonna put on your face before you and did you gonna do the eyeliner? Did you got the scaping? Did you got the smoky? I'm like, well, did we need all of that back in the day? Did we really need all of that? You know, you went out, you put some mascara on, you moisturized your skin because you didn't want cracked lips and ashy face, and you made sure you had the sleep out your eyes and you didn't stink, and you dressed up in a nice outfit and you enjoy each other and try to get to know each other. But I know I'm giving myself away because that ain't what it is today. It's
I think,
different,
well, I think I'm like you. Like I've never really been the makeup girl. Like I might do eyeshadow and
right?
brows or whatever and lip gloss, right? But yeah, but I mean, and for me, like you said, it's not really because it's really because I didn't want to take that extra time every morning to put
Right.
it on, right? But it's crazy because I feel like have like the expectations change, like you know, I feel like what's the rules now? How to because before, like you would meet someone, like you said, you could meet somebody on the train, you can meet somebody walking down the street, you make eye contact with
Right.
somebody, you smile, he might come talk to you. Now I feel like that doesn't happen.
It seemed more organic back then, and I tell you, I really wouldn't know what it's like now, so don't get me to line. But it just felt like, like I actually met my husband when I was at work way back, like so,
Oh, okay.
I was working there. He worked at the job doing a different position, but that's how we connected. It was like we were in the same space, and
Mm.
individually we started talking and stuff and other things in between. But where I met him was in a common place. It was at work. Or so I don't know now how organic it is for people to connect anymore and to have those first dates and what are the expectations. I just saw something where a young lady said, am I a girl that would pay 50-50 for a meal? I think it was some she was going out with Kelsey, the football player, and
Oh.
she was saying something about if do I look like I go in 50-50 on anything? And whatever happened, they weren't together. Now he's with what's the girl, the singer, the pop singer,
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift.
Oh,
Now
okay.
he's with Taylor Smith.
So Taylor Swift over
Swift,
50.
Swift, Taylor Swift.
So
So,
Sheila.
I mean, so like even that conversation, do you do the women, do you split the date, do you go Dutch? I mean, for me it's go Dutch because if you're going to go out, you always should have your own money. That's how I was raised. You don't expect a guy to pay. You make sure you have your own money so you can pay for your own stuff.
Well, I expect you to pay. I'm gonna have my own money. But Sheila, you know what I'm about to say. But I do expect you to pay. But that's me. Sheila, where'd you meet your husband?
Well, look, we met online.
Oh yeah, I
Uh,
remember you said
yep,
that.
we
You
met
said,
online 12 years ago. And what was interesting about that, now we are 4 years apart. He loves to tell you that I'm older than him because then he'll start with the whole thing. Well, when I was in kindergarten, you were in so, he'll run it all the way up the flagpole, right? But um it started out as conversation because neither one of us were actually looking for a relationship at that time. And what drew us to each other were the things that we had in common. Um, you know, we're both Leos. Um, I nicknamed my son Scooby because when he was as a child, he used to love Scooby Doo.
Mm-hmm.
He loved Barney too, but I wasn't about to call him Barney, right?
Okay.
Turned out that was one of my husband's nicknames.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Nice.
where I grew up in Orange, New Jersey, at some point he ended up moving there around the corner from the house that I actually grew up in. So there were just so many things that
Wow.
we ended up
Wow.
having in common. So and then it just, it just blossomed from there.
Wow.
So again, it turned out because that wasn't the intent, but that's what happened. And our initial dates were pretty simple, right? Um, we went to a park and listened to a live band.
Nice.
Mm.
Um, we would go out just to walk the mall and go window shopping.
Mm.
So some of our things were very simple.
Mm.
And like I said, it just blossomed from there. Um, but I just want to go back to a little bit of something that Gina said, right?
Okay.
About real men wanting real women.
Yeah. Let's talk.
And the the problem with that is that there is an expectation for your wife to look, or your mate or girlfriend or whatever, is to look one way in public and then
Mm.
look the different way at home. Because in public, you want that woman that's going to shine, right? That's going to make everybody's head turn, right?
Right.
But then when you get home, you want that real woman. So, and especially once you get married, then now you put a greater expectation, right, on her, where now you expect that real woman to be around every time, except for when you want her to be that woman that you actually met. So I think it's the mixed messages. When we
Mm.
talk about what we see out in the media today, the girls are only imitating what they see, right? So what
Hmm.
they see are the nails and the lashes and the
Yeah.
extreme hair,
Yeah.
um, and the tight clothing. So they see that the men gravitate to that, right? So there's no one talking to them about how that it actually, that kind of image detaches them from their self-assurance and their
Yes.
Mm.
self-esteem,
Hmm.
right? So then they don't know how they really don't know how to date, because everything is so superficial. It's what's
Right.
on the outside first, right? And there's no one that's telling them that you need to be able to get to the inside at the same time. What is
Mm.
that person
That's
for?
good.
Yeah.
What kind of conversation can they hold? It may be just the first date, but where are they headed? Forget about where the two of you are headed at that point. Where are they headed? And if they're being genuine, we talk about having that level of discernment, because then you got to be able to read through the BS.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
And, yeah, and what we talked about last week, right? About the red flag, the flags, right? The
Yeah.
red flags, yellow flags, all of that.
Hmm.
But something you said, Sheila, about how dressing, right? I remember just me and my god sisters and our friends like going out, and my godmother, like we in our 20s too, she'd be like, "Where you going in there?" Right? Because it was always that leave something to the imagination,
Right.
Right.
right? Um, so I think that's one thing that has changed. And not like some people, like they look wonderful. I don't care. Like wear what you want to wear. I don't have nothing against anybody. So before anybody come for me, I'm not saying anything about how you choose to dress. But I know back in the day, because we're talking about then and now, back in the day, we were able to be sexy with clothes on because there was a aura we gave off. There was there was a confidence that we gave off.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we could have layer, like no matter what you had on, you were
Yeah.
you were sexy
Right.
because
Mhm.
there was a confidence. And so I think to the point that you made, Sheila, I think that's something that is, you know, a little different now, right? There is that level of authenticity that sometimes is missing when you first get out there and you start like having, you know, conversations with someone. But I do remember that. Like we be like in our 20, we about to head out, and my godmother's like, excuse me, where you
Yeah.
going in?
Mm-hmm. I remember those.
You
You
right?
going out? Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Oh
right.
yeah, that's what you went.
And you know, I mean, back in the day, we also kind of followed the trends, but put
Yeah.
our own spin on it. Because
Yeah.
listen, I was heavy into the biking shorts, right?
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, I didn't necessarily go out to clubs in the biking shorts, but you know, when I was hanging out, yeah, I had my biking shorts on. Look, and forget about sneakers. I used to have my flats on with them.
Let me tell you something.
You know,
I had, you know, I had
these.
every. Remember, I said I had every color sneak. My sneakers match my leaves and my shirt. So every color leaves I had a pair of sneakers to match. Right. So, but the other thing is also, I now that we're talking about this, I just remember, you know, you had your good friends, and somehow you hooked up with someone, and they're good friends. So it was like it also became a kind of like a group thing. So whenever you
Absolutely.
right whenever you were
Yeah.
hanging
Yeah.
out, it was not just you and the guy. It was like you, him, and his friend, and you would
Yeah.
meet people through other people and just
Yeah.
hang out. Like I remember, you know, growing up around Gun Hill, us walking to Skate Key, right, to go roller skating,
Yeah.
guys and
Yeah.
girls hanging out, going a bunch of us going to the movies together,
Right.
then castles afterward, right? You
My
know,
God.
I'm going back, right?
Yeah, you are.
I'm dating myself now, right?
But you know
But
the other thing too, what we have then and now, which is huge. We have so many ways of seeing things before we even get to see each other,
yeah,
right? So we didn't have the social media stuff. We didn't have, and it's okay to, and I'm quite comfortable with saying that when we went out, it wasn't like we felt like we were in competition with, over 4 or 5 to, 100 different images of what he may have seen other women dressed like or look like. You went out basically, hey, this is what I'm working with, and you were gonna make yourself look nice now. You was gonna, pump up the volume some, but it wasn't like you were saying, well, should I, that style or this style or, um, you know, lash like this, because you got so much of this now. Everybody got their different platforms with the makeup and how to dress this or wear that. You want to get this or get that. Back then, I think it was a little more clean in the sense that I'm meeting someone for the first time. You meet me for the first time. I'm not worried about should I wear this or over the top do something, because you got all these different media posts with the girls dressing up like this and wearing the makeup like that. Um, there's so many things that the guys get to see first, or and vice versa. We see the guys looking a certain kind of way, so we're like, okay, well, what he's gonna look like. It maybe the conversation is good, but now you, instead of really enjoying the conversation, now you putting that on top of what you've seen in social media. So they should look like this or look like that, and it that wasn't a concern back then. Like you said, we would put on our stuff, go out with our friends. Sometimes we would do double dates, right? Or sometimes we go into the club together or what have you, and if it worked, it didn't. If it worked and we went had another date, that was fine. But if not, it was cool, and it wasn't like everything was posted the next day. You didn't have to worry about, um,
what
you
do you
know.
mean the next day? The same minute, the whole date with your
Oh
whole
yeah,
time
true,
out is on. So like
true,
you watch a concert through your phone. Like
right,
that's crazy to
right,
me,
right.
right? But you know what's interesting in something that you said. It really is when you think about it, how technology has changed, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
The way we date, the way we meet people,
Yeah.
the way we connect with people,
yes,
right?
yeah,
the catfishing, the
Mm-hmm.
they show you one thing and it's another. So that really, when you said that, it really is different.
Yeah, and it's something. And I pray and hope with my dear adult children. Of course, they're adults now, but I was always hoping that they would meet someone and get to know them organically.
Mm,
And not based on something. Oh, we met on Facebook, and now you need to feel like you got to do kind of investigate them before you even just get to know them. So I've felt relieved that for the most part my my adult children met people that they dated organically,
mm,
and got to know them for who they were and that type of thing versus finding out they was somebody else different or they had a whole different scenario versus what they were
yeah,
saying in the beginning. And I think that's the other thing, and you said that too, Theo, regarding the catfishing and stuff. It's like your guard is up. So you, going on the first date, you're always a little nervous, but now it seems like you're even more so nervous about what's going to happen, and what are they thinking, instead of just trying to be in the moment of it's the first date,
yeah,
right? We out together, whether it's going bowling or to the movies or nice dinner. But now it's like you got, and also depends on our age too now, because there's different expectations
yeah.
from your
And
20s, from your 30s,
so
and your
talk
40s.
about that. Like, how have your expectations changed from
Right.
then
Because
to
if
now?
you in your 20s and stuff, you're going to date, it don't work. It's like, no biggie, we good. Sometimes you can even wind up being cool friends with that person because you're really still vibe, but
Mhm.
you're just like, well, not the relationship vibe, but I like her or I like him, but
Yeah,
not like that, and y'all can still be okay. But now when you get in your 30s and your 40s, you maybe not ready. You're not just going out to be like, okay, we cool. Maybe you really are looking for something more substantial, something where you looking to be with someone and grow. So you don't also want to waste your time. So sometimes those first dates mean something different based on where you are in your life.
I mean, I agree, because I also feel like, back then it was kind of like, yeah, you're dating, you're having fun, you're doing whatever you want to do, right?
Right.
um but I think as you get older, it's, especially for me, as I started doing the work, right, I was like, would I want to date me? Right?
Hmm.
Because I think the other thing is, when we're younger and we're growing up, we do have all of these expectations. The guy got to look like this, or the guy got to have that, or the guy this or that, right? But as you get older, you begin to think about it, right? You can't expect something from somebody else if you don't have it, right? I remember, even in like my 20s or 30, I remember someone I used to work with. She was like, "Oh, the guy got to have 6 figures. He got to make 6 figures, and he got to drive this, and he got to do that." And I was like, "But you still living at home with your parents. You driving, well, I forget whatever car she had, and you don't make 6 figures." So I think that's something that I think as you get older, that's something that also changes, right? If you mature, because not everyone matures. Some people still are thinking like that. But I think when you begin to mature, you begin to think about it, right? Like, would I want to date me? Right. So you really got to look at you and who you are, and evaluate who you are, because before you can expect somebody to match something, are you delivering the same thing,
Mhm.
right? Are you respectful and all of that stuff?
And you're right when you talk about like the different phases. I think you get to a point where it starts off where you're dating for fun, but then you start dating for a purpose,
Yeah.
right? Whatever that purpose is it justified
Mm-hmm.
constant companionship, or are you looking for a life mate?
Mm-hmm.
I think nowadays there are a lot of men that straight out the door they are dating for a purpose.
Yeah.
And some of them are very vocal about that. They'll let you know they're not in it to play around, to hit it and quit it and things like that. They are looking for a wife. And truth be told, there are women I can even remember even back as in college where you would laugh because people would say, oh, that there are girls here who are just here to find a husband. I'm like, are you kidding me? You're paying thousands of dollars of tuition to find a husband? That just doesn't make it. It would and it was true. It was
Yeah.
it was obviously true. So, again, I think times have changed now because women are realizing that they can have a career and a
Yeah.
family, and getting themselves grounded first is the priority.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you have to realize at what point is it that you are actually dating for a purpose, because then that's going to change the whole tone of how you're dating.
Yep. But I think also something you said that I think you need to be mindful of also is because, like you said, I think as men mature and they get older, they reach this stage where they're like, okay, now I want a wife because I want to settle down. I want somebody that's going to be home. Somebody's going to be doing X, Y, Z, right? I want a companion. And so I think for women, you definitely have to be discerning because you have to then realize, is this man looking for a wife and a companion? Or is this man looking for a maid as a wife? You know what I'm saying? Because
Mm-hmm.
some of them do get to the point where they're like, okay, I sold my oats and I want to settle down, but what's the dating for a purpose? But what's the purpose for being ready to be married? Right? Because there's a difference. Because honestly, I would say for me, I don't mind dating someone that's older, but I need you to be, like you said earlier, Regina. Gina, I need you to be a young, whatever age you are, because I still work out. I still like to travel. I still like to do things. So if you've reached that stage where you just want to sit on the couch every weekend and watch the game, every now and then that's cool, but that's not something I'm trying to do every weekend. Right. And so
Right.
I think that's another thing you have, like, sure, I love like you and your husband have date night, right? And just seeing some of the places that you guys go and do and the things that you do, I'm like, that's so cool. Because one, it keeps the marriage alive, right? But
Yep.
also, it's like you're still dating. Because I think that's the other
Absolutely.
thing people forget, right?
I know.
Is
And I would tell you
yeah,
that that was in my first marriage. In my first marriage, that was something that we didn't do. I think we both forgot that we needed to date one another. So we weren't in the habit of doing that. Um,
mhm,
I believe it's probably the same thing with my husband in his first marriage. So it's a living and growing experience that you have to change things, because even when my first marriage was falling apart, um, I realized then that we needed to be a couple first
mm,
before we could be great parents to our son, right? Before we could even think about having that nuclear family.
mm,
If we weren't a couple first, then there was no foundation.
yep,
It brings to mind about, okay, well, do you who comes first, the husband or the spouse or the child? And people are like, oh no, my children always come first. Well, get back to the thing about you being healthy before you can help anybody else, right?
mhm,
If you're not healthy in your relationship with your significant other, then how can you be healthy for your child? And the minute that you continue to put your child in the forefront, right, which means that if you're doing everything for the child, it means you're not going out and dating, right?
mhm,
You're
yep.
losing what brought you together in the first place.
Yeah, but also if you're doing everything like, and I've heard people actually say this, they're like, if I'm putting my child first, right? When they leave the house, right, and it's
It's
just
just,
you and
yep,
your husband, y'all now staring at each other like, what are we gonna do now,
well,
right?
what are we going to
Everything's
do now?
about the children,
Right,
right?
right.
And so And
Yeah.
so that's definitely, something to think about. But the other thing I think about the difference between then and now is back then, and I think because we're Gen Xers, so we still do it. If we went somewhere together as girls, we left together
Left together.
as girls.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
Right? It
Yeah.
was none of that. I'm gonna go home with this person, or I'll catch up with you later. Nope, nope. We
Yeah.
came together. We all leaving together. No one is left behind, and I feel like that's something that is done differently now.
Yeah. Because one of the things I don't think people realize, and not that you need validation from your friends, but like when we used to do it, we also made sure that our friends, right, were able to give their opinions, what they thought about the guy, right? Because in the spur of the moment, you may not see what they saw.
Yep.
Yeah,
So you kind of needed that. But again, depending on the friends that you had, right?
Right. Right. Right.
You would expect that they were the ones that have your back, right?
yeah,
And they
Right.
could be honest with you. It's like, Sheila, yeah, he was all up on you on the dance floor, but the minute you went to the bathroom, he found somebody else.
yeah.
You know?
But that is the thing. You always have your girl, like you had like all
Yeah.
these eyes, right? And also the ones that they trying to talk to you, and when you not in them, they trying to talk to your girl, right? And we
Right.
like that's the girl,
Yep. Yep.
right?
Yep.
So definitely, I
So
think that's definitely different.
I think.
Because nowadays, people are date other people that
Yeah.
did it.
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
quickly.
A lot of sharing going on, but one of the things that was talked about, if we're talking about dating after we've gotten older, we know ourselves better. We're more comfortable with who we are. Hopefully, right?
Mhm,
Hopefully, we've done the work, like you said, Theo. So when we're dating someone, we're bringing our authentic selves to the table also,
mhm,
because sometimes when you go on dates, and I used to always tell my daughters this. I said, give that a 6 month window. I always said at least 6 months, because a person can only front but for so long.
mhm,
Who they are starts to show through the cracks. So your job, if you sincerely like the person, pay attention, be attentive, listen to what they're saying, but look at their actions.
mhm. Yes.
And so, so that first date, okay, that was cool. But if you're going to continue, then you're paying attention to how they move. Are their words matching up with what they say?
Mhm,
With how they move and what they do. So
mhm.
I think, as we get older now, and we've learned from some of those experiences, and if you're not married or with someone and you're still dating, be good enough with yourself to be authentic from the beginning, because you don't want to waste time. You want to enjoy this person, and if the person is being a what they call a representative and not the authentic self, because of who you are and the work you've done, you're going to find that out,
Mhm.
right? It is not like you're interrogating the person, but you're just looking at how they move.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
we have to be, and I say even for the young ones, because I don't know how many times I thought, oh, I love him, but I love him. Okay, I don't even think about it. I forgot his name. But back then, it was like, oh, he was so nice. Was he really? But at the time, it was maybe something about him that you thought was cute, maybe the way they smiled or something they said or what have you. But now, like, okay, we ain't got no time for that. Okay, look, if that's the vibe you're giving me from date number one, you don't have to worry about a date number two. But that's the older, more mature me,
Mhm.
right? Um, I'm married, of course, but being married and being a mom and all this other stuff, I know what I'd be looking for if I ever had to go out there again, which that's not happening, because to death do you part means just that. But anyway, I'm just saying.
Mhm.
But I do know, like you said, Theo, if you haven't done the work on yourself and you've made patternistic dating
Mhm.
habits, that
Mm-hmm.
have not been to your benefit.
Mm-hmm.
Until you do the work on yourself, you're going to continue to have those patternistic dating
Mm-hmm.
habits that are not beneficial to you. So I say now, as we're talking about dating then and now, do the work.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it means talking to someone that you sincerely love and care about, and they sincerely love and care about you to get a real opinion or to get some insight because you may be interested in the person, but something's not settling. Don't let the red flags go. Don't even let the yellow flags go. If there's something that's not settling right about that person, or maybe you check it yourself, what's your intention,
Yeah.
right? 'Cause you said that too, shit. Like, what's up with us,
Yeah.
right? So if you're going on a first date with someone and you have an agenda, are you doing too much?
Yeah.
Like, are you like, can you just enjoy the date, or what's going on? So we have to really be continually self-aware because it's not fair to go out here. You got all this expectation for what this person is supposed to do, and you're not bringing none of your expectations to the table how you need to show up.
Yeah.
So I think if you
Mm.
dating for the first time, one, be easy,
Yeah.
right? Like, be easy, and the best way you can be easy is by being your best self. Be who you are, because
I'm
at least that person ain't got to worry about are you a representative or is this really you.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things is as you get older, I definitely feel like there's an evolution, right? So, like you said, when I was younger, right, I'm just doing what I want to do. I'm dating who I want to date. If I like back in the day, I was if I ain't if you did one little thing, I'm done, right? Like I'm chilling. And then I went through that phase where wanting to be in a relationship so much, right, that I was just probably thinking I'm being authentic, but not because I'm losing myself in relationships, right? So that's
Mm.
another thing. So a lesson I would say to anyone that's listening now that's younger, right? Because hopefully the ones that are Gen X, they kind of caught up to where we're at. But back then there was a period in my life where I was so much focused on finding love and being in love, right? That I probably wasn't being my authentic self, although I thought I was, right? And then like you said, going through it, doing the work, figuring out who I am, what I want. Now it's a whole different. I'm approaching it differently when I do finally start dating again. Right there, I'm probably going to treat them like an HR. It's probably going to be the
No.
pre-screen with the interview, and they're probably going to have to be interviewed by a couple of hiring
In a
managers.
5-page application too, Theo.
They won't have to do an application, but they might have to go through the panel interview with my three
You
closest
ask them
cousins.
behavioral questions.
Exactly. They may have to have. They might have the 90-day probationary period, the 6 month evaluation, the annual review. Right? No, but real talk, right? Like now I'm at a different stage, right? So like Sheila said, I'm dating with a purpose, one, but also I'm dating, loving myself differently
Yeah.
than I was loving myself before, right? So now it'll be a different experience, right? Than when I was in my 30s and 40s, whatever. Now it definitely would be a different experience. Like I'm kidding, they may go through a little bit of an HR experience, but it won't be that bad. But yeah, sometimes you got to be like, I might have to throw my profession in there, okay? Because listen, if you're up for the challenge and you go through that, you know what I'm saying? Like, because they definitely are gonna have to meet a couple of my male cousins though. Because I think they are probably like, yo, no, now dudes got to come to us. But nah, but I think the main thing for anyone that's listening right now is you definitely have to go through. You have to evolve, and evolving means you have to really get to know who you are. And you like, I think you said this last week, Gina, or maybe you said it's not 50-50. Like you can't show up as a 50% person. You
Right.
got to be 100%. Yeah, you might not have everything together, right? But you can't go into a relationship expecting that person to be your happiness and bring you joy.
Right.
Like you have to have that inside of you. You can't expect that person to fulfill something that you're really responsible for yourself.
Exactly. Exactly. I
And
think you're supposed to bring your version of happy to the table. They bring
yeah,
theirs, and then it's what y'all bring together that makes it richer.
yeah.
But
And
it's unfair to put that on someone else, right? And like, if it's the first date, like, chill out.
yeah, I mean that's the other thing. Like first,
Like,
don't be so like you said, be easy. Like first
yeah,
date should be to me, like my first date is normally like coffee or whatever, right? But then the next one after that is I like activity dates. Like I don't want to go to the movies because we can't talk in the movies.
right.
So I like going bowling or like Sheila said, walking in the park, right?
Yeah.
Like doing some type of activity that we're able to engage and talk and get to know one another, right? But
Hmm.
um, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think I
Well,
think yeah. Now
let's,
I think we have grown.
yes, but let's explore dating after a relationship,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So you've got out of one relationship. When is it too soon to start dating again? Or is there such a thing?
I think there is.
I think there is. I mean, I want to
Yeah.
say when the then and the now, then it was like this. This one is over, and maybe a month later you meet in the next one, or 2 months later, or whatever, right? Right? Like, or 3 months later. I think back then it probably was like, but now, and I think also because of some of the experiences that I had, I realized that you know there was a period where I intentionally did not date before my last serious relationship. I had not dated someone intentionally for probably like 2 years. I was like intentional. Like I might have gone out with people. Now I'm not gonna say I didn't date. I might have talked to people going out, but I intentionally was not in a relationship, right? For 2 years intentionally. I literally took some time to do stuff like go to the movies by myself, go out and eat by myself, go to the mall by myself, like not even doing stuff with my friends. Like there was a period where I was like, I needed to figure out who I was,
Hmm.
right? And then I met the last relationship, which I figured out that I had found out who I was, but still needed to do some work. But I would say now because of our age, at least my age, right? I don't know that I have a time for dating. Like I have not dated anyone now. I think, damn, it's probably been like what did we say? Four years, maybe
Or
4 or 5 years,
Yeah.
right? And I don't know if that's been intentional. I just haven't met anyone. But I think now, like you said, I'm more so dating for a purpose. So I think out of the gate, I might meet somebody, we talk, whatever. And if I feel that is not right, I'm probably gonna be like, okay, I don't want to waste somebody's time. I don't want them to waste mine. Right. But I feel like now about to hit 59, it's not like I could be waiting like 2, 3 years in between dating someone. But I would say for someone that is going from one relationship to another relationship and it keeps not ending well, I would say do what I did, which is take some time to get to know yourself and don't jump right into another
Mhm.
relationship
yeah.
because I think some people don't take the time to really figure out
Well,
what was my part in that, right? Because we're quick to say it didn't work
Yeah.
because of the other person, right? And I will say in the relationships that I were in, I will say the guys were not bad guys. They may have done some stuff that wasn't right or did it the wrong way, right? But when I look back on it, I had to be like, yo, like they showed you who they were,
Who they were
right?
from the beginning.
Even if it wasn't in a meeting, even if it wasn't like they were disrespectful or whatever, there was something, there was a flag there that I chose to ignore because, like we know, I just wanted to be in that relationship, right? So I think that's why it's important for people to really take some time in between relationships to evaluate their part and
Right.
why it did not possibly work out.
I think if depending on the intensity of the relationship, the intensity of the breakup, um, you want to give yourself some time if you need time to heal
Mhm.
or just get clear of that, because if you start dating depend soon after, and you're going through maybe not a good situation, and the guy that you start dating next may be a really cool guy, but you're transferring the frustration from a previous relationship onto him. He doesn't get a fair shot at being who he can be or
Mhm.
who he is, because you still got the lens of or the bad taste from the last date. It's like having, eating a bad meal and you go out again and you still turned off, but you didn't get that meal out your system. Take time to make sure that you're okay to see that person for who they are individually versus putting on them stuff that's not fair to them. And then do yourself a favor to say, are you emotionally mature to be in this relationship right now? Are you emotionally mature to date? Because what are you looking for? Are you looking for company? Are you looking to because you don't want to be alone,
Mhm.
which is really not the best reason to go on a date, because you may then not see what you need to see. And it could be something as simple as, are we compatible? Not that they're a bad person, but are we compatible? Is he going to sit on the sofa when I want to go out? You don't really see that when you just want somebody. And like I said, the first few months, everything looks good. Everything is good until it's not. And if you're not good with you, if you haven't gotten over what you've been through, you're running into something maybe just because you don't want to be alone. And I know that's challenging, but if you don't give yourself that time to be okay, to ask yourself to assess what you've gotten through, you may wind up running into some of the same type
You
of person
end up
that you
dating the
broke
same
up with.
person. You end up dating the same person. They just look.
So I just say, if you've been out of a bad relationship, the length of time depends on your ability to bounce back. Are you okay? Are you emotionally okay?
Mhm.
Are you ready to date and be patient with the process of how relationships bloom? Or are you going to try to fast track it because you want the company?
Yeah.
So, I in that sense, I would say, know yourself.
I mean, like Erica Badu said it best, right? Bag lady.
Yeah,
Let go, don't
Mm-hmm.
bags or however she said. So,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I think that's definitely, something that we have to you think about. But I think also, if you think about the then and now, right? If we are evolving, if we're growing, if we're maturing, if we're doing the things that hopefully a lot of us seek and do, you get to that point of being better, right? When it comes to being emotionally intelligent, right? Maturing, seeing. But I would say, and I'm gonna make this my final thought because we are at the top of the hour. That came quick. Um, I would say honestly, and I think Sheila said it earlier. You got to know why you're dating, right? Like, are you looking for a companion, right? Just someone you could chill with, hang out with. Are you looking for a husband, right? Are you looking for what they call it, a booty call, right? Like just real talk. I think the one thing that you have to do as you get older and you're evolving, which is because back then we were just dating, we were just young, we were just doing whatever. But as you get older, I would say now, I think you have to be clear on what it is that you want. Because first of all, tomorrow's not promised, right? You
Mm-hmm.
don't have all this time. And so you have to be clear on what you want. So you're able to make the decision for yourself, right? Because I think that is
Yes.
also the difference for me then and now. Then I think I gave dudes more power. That's the only word I could think of. I don't know if it's power, but they were the ones that were in control of whether or not they wanted to be in a relationship, and whatever, when you're younger, you're chasing, you're like, oh, right. Like you said, oh my God, do I want to be with them? And then I got to the point where I was like, whatever, right? But now I think it really is being in that place of knowing what I want. And what I want is not dependent on them. It's what I want. I'm not looking for them to fit into a box. This is what I want. The person might match that, or they might not. But I'm no longer gonna be like, I'm no longer gonna try to fit a square peg into a round hole. So that's what I would say. Don't fit a square peg into a round hole just so you could be with somebody.
Well, piggybacking off of that, my final food for thought is have fun at it, right?
Yeah.
But make sure that you are doing the work on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Figure out whether or not you are walking towards something or walking away from something.
Mm-hmm.
Are you running to something or are you running from something?
Mm.
Because those things, once you figure that out, that's going to allow you to set yourself up for the positive dating experiences. Because
Mm.
again, you only attract what you give. So think about that as you're dating. Why am I
Mm.
doing this? And am I doing it for the right reasons?
Last thing I'm
That's
gonna
good.
say to
Go ahead,
all that
Professor.
yummy stuff is no, that boils down for me knowing yourself. Because when
Mm.
you could be honest with yourself, everything that springs from that is truth. So when you're dating, you'll be able to see from a clear perspective who that person is or who you are. And you'll know if it's working. You'll know what you want. You've understood what expectation you want from that relationship.
Mm.
But it starts first with you being honest with yourself when no one else is around. What's your expectations? And be clear on that so you don't give mixed signals. And like Sheila said, you can actually enjoy the dating experience. So that's my food for thought.
Nice. All right. So there you have it. This has been the Women to Women show on the New You Nation Network. Tonight we were talking about first dates then and now, what's changed and what haven't. And so hopefully you got something rich from this conversation, and you will join us next week for another engaging topic. Where what are we talking about next week? Oh, next week should be good. It's breaking the traditional mold. So we're going to be talking about couples that probably are married and or have been in long-term relationships but live in separate households. So join us next week on the Women to Women show on the New You Nation Network, and we will see you later. Have a wonderful night, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for joining. Good night.
All right. Good night, all.